My name is Dwayne Robbins, and this is week 7 assignment for FTT 100, Introduction to Firearms Technology. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you is that the firearm is completely clear of any live ammunition. The magazine is out, and the magazine is empty. Going to slide it and lock it to the rear. Going to visually and physically inspect that the chamber is empty, and as you can see, the chamber is empty. Okay, since my firearm is I'm going to back this up a little bit, the Glock 17 Gen 4. It is a striker fire pistol. I'm going to lock it to the rear again. We're going to go over the cycle of operation. Since my is a striker fire, a semi-automatic, the Glock 17 actually cocks and chambers when you pull the slide to the rear all at the same time. So when the slide goes back, it's already cocked. When the slide comes forward, it strips around and chambers it into the chamber, which is in the front. It goes up the ramp up into the chamber and locks into place. This is locked. You pull the trigger, that starts the firing sequence that ignites the primer. Well, it strikes the primer, ignites the powder, projectile exits. As that's happening, the slide is coming back. I'll lock it back in place. The slide goes to the rear. That's unlocking it. There is a ejector right here that hooks on to the rim of the projectile. There's the extractor, sorry. Pulls it out and ejects it out of the breech. Okay, now I'm going to field strip the Glock and show you the internal components. Slide comes forward. Make sure it's always pointed in a safe direction. Some of the components that were involved in the cycle of operation. You have the slide spring, which is right here. Take that off real quick. Get a better little view of it. The barrel also has the chamber, all on the same thing. That would be the breech block right there. With striker fire pistols, you can kind of see the pin right there. It's inside this little mechanism right here. That's the pin safety on the Glock. This is the striker right here. This is what is used to extract a round from the magazine and chamber it into the chamber. We'll go on to that. The trigger is involved in the cycle of operation. That's what goes into here. Pushes up on to there's 3 safeties with the Glock 17. You got the trigger safety, which is right here. You have, which is on here, the pin safety right there. And then on the back here, is the third safety. And some of the features that are on the firearm that really have nothing to do with the cycle of operation as it's cycling. You know, the slide lock, which is right here. You have the magazine release. Other than holding the magazine there, it really doesn't do much. The magazine is also involved in the cycle of operation because this is what feeds your firearm. And this piece right here is where it actually, the magazine catch, which holds the magazine inside the firearm. I wanted to show the camera in the class that this is a dummy round, does not have a firing primer. This was supplied to me by SDI. I just wanted to show so people could see how, when in the chamber, how the round sits inside the chamber. Okay, now when cleaning the firearm, I use a brush here by the firing pin area. I'll clean here, back here, even down into the frame of the slide with the brush itself. I also use my brush on the rail, making sure that everything is clear off of the rail, the feeding rail. Ramp. Make sure it's clean there. And then I take the barrel brush. I just cleaned this not too long ago, so I'm really not going to ram it into the barrel itself. But I go in from this way, and I also go in from this way. And then going into the rest of the frame, I use the brush inside the magazine well to make sure there's no dust and anything inside here. I use the brush up here to clean these rails. In here, back here on these two rails, and even into the main frame of the gun. Then I make sure that the slide spring, I make sure this has absolutely no dirt, grime, anything build up in it, just to make sure that the springs compress the way they're supposed to compress. And then when I'm finished cleaning everything, I will make sure I put a little bit of oil on a rag, go down the barrel, make sure it's all clear. Then I will put a clean rag through it, make sure it is not saturated with oil inside, make sure that's all oiled up. Then I take oil and I oil this rail, these two rails, and then these two rails back here to make sure there is not a whole lot of oil, just enough. Then I oil the trigger mechanism, which is right here. Not a lot though, because you don't want to have it over oiled, because that can attract dirt, dust, and powder, of course, and cause your gun to malfunction if you don't clean it correctly. And that is the Glock 17, all cleaned and put back together. And this concludes my week 7 assignment.